So this is what our Memorial Day looked like all day. Look at this. Pouring rain. Well, it wasn't pouring this morning, so I guess they were able to have the parade. But the entire afternoon was raining like this, and so we had a fun day. We just cooked, and I'm going to show you how to make authentic Berlin street food, which is called currywurst, and I'm going to show you how to make it right after this. And what else did we do? Went to the Dollar Tree, and then we played we literally played 50 games of Shut the Box, me and my mom. So perfect thing to do on a rainy day like this, you know. So anyway, happy Memorial Day, guys. Let's cook. Alright, today we're going to make a famous Berlin street food known as currywurst. And what you need for that would be uncured bratwurst of some sort. I got Franconian, you can get Bavarian, you can get traditional, any kind you want. We need an onion, we need ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, tomato paste, lemon juice, curry powder, Coca-Cola, and salt. So what we're going to do first is chop up this onion, get it ready to saute. We're going to cut the bratwurst into bite-sized pieces. You can cook the bratwurst whole and cut it into pieces after, but I think it's easier to brown if they're all cut in the first place. So let me get them cut up and we'll take it from there. Alright, into a pan, put a little bit of olive oil, then your onions and your brats. And we're going to saute these until they're as brown as we want them. Okay, here's our onions and brats, nice and brown, the way we like them. Turn down my heat. I'm going to add a cup of ketchup. Ketchup, tablespoon of tomato paste, a teaspoon of curry powder. It calls for a tablespoon, but I only put a teaspoon in for my mom and dad. And more to sprinkle on top. I'm going to put some salt. And then here I have a tablespoon of Worcestershire, 2 teaspoons of Coca-Cola, and 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And that is what makes our beautiful currywurst sauce. So now I'm going to mix this all around and let the sausage simmer in that sauce, get everything mixed good. And when we're all done, I'll show you how to serve it. That's it. That's how you make currywurst. Smells so good. Alright guys, while this is simmering, if your sauce seems a little too thick, you can add a tiny bit of water. I put only about 1/8 of a cup in here, and you can see this, it's more saucy now. And that's the way you want it to look. So while we wait for our chips and our pretzels to bake, just let this simmer and stay hot. It smells amazing. Okay, we're going to put them in these little containers, like on the street in Berlin. Very fun. And what I'm going to start out with is some chips, some French fries. Some fries. Some currywurst. Look at that. Serve it with a beautiful hot Bavarian pretzel. Sprinkle the top of the currywurst with a little bit of curry powder. This is not my plate, so I'm not putting it on theirs. They don't want the extra curry powder, but I'll put it on mine. And that's how you do it. So simple, so delicious, so easy. Perfect Berlin street food. And that's the way it should be served right there. Put your little fork in, your little Bavarian pretzel. Happy Memorial Day. Alright, so CRI Genetics did my DNA. And I am 21.8% Northern European, 18.7% Northwest European, 17.10% British Isles, 16.10% Iberian, Spain, 14% Tuscany Italian, 2.2% Punjabi Indian. I'll tell you why. Sri Lankan Tamil, 1.50%. Gujarati Indian, 1.48%. Bengali, 1.10%.
Well, they all started in Africa.
Well, no, that's India. And then Nigerian, 0.5%. Okay, now, the Indian makes perfect sense because the British Empire. A lot of Brits lived in India. A lot of Indians migrated to England. So our the British Isles history, ancestry goes back 23 generations. The Tuscany Italian goes back 18 generations. The Northern European goes back 24 generations. The Punjabi Indian goes back 16 generations.
Where are they from?
India. The Gujarati, which is what fowl is, goes back 15 generations. The Bengalis go back 15 generations. The Sri Lankans are as recent as 5 generations ago. That's 1 generation before your grandparents. Very, very interesting, right? So, over here, it says, when I told Fel I was Gujarati, she said, I knew it. So funny. So, they can trace, on the advanced timeline, they can trace, it says, we identified one of your ancestors was Northern European and lived around the year 1875. They found out which chromosome they found that in. And it's chromosome 12 and segment blah, 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 blah. That tells you. It's amazing. And then
That would be the Italian.
Northern European is Northern European is Scandinavia. And that's probably where Mom's family started before they got to England.
The Vikings.
Vikings, right.
Vikings invaded England.
Yeah. And then 5 generations back, they identified one of my ancestors as Sri Lankan, who lived around the year 1875. And that was on chromosome 8. And then we had the first Tuscany Italian that they could identify was 5 generations back, lived in the year 1875, and that was on chromosome 17. So interesting. And then the first British Isles was 6 generations back, 1850.
That was my grandfather.
No,
18.
great-grandfather.
Right, well, 1850.
5 generations would have been your great-grandfather, not
But
your
he said,
grandfather.
she says 18.
1850 was the British Isles. 1875 was Tuscany Italian.
That's my grandmother. My
Well,
grandmother.
If he was born in 1875,
My
yeah.
grandmother was
That's right,
born
because
in
Nanny was born in
1860.
1902.
No, my grandmother was born at.
No, Nanny, I'm saying.
But my grandmother was born in
He's talking about his
1869.
grandparents, not
Okay.
his mother.
Well then, right, and that, so 5 generations back was your grandparents.
That's right.
So that close, we had a Sri Lankan ancestor.
All right.
British Isles 6 generations back.
Way
Then,
back.
then they found another Tuscany 6 generations back, lived around 1850. And they found more Northern Europe, another Northern European who lived in 1825, 7 generations back. British Isles 7 generations back, 1825. Tuscany Italian 1825. So they go back all the way to 1400. Another Northern European 8 generations back. I want to get to the Punjabis here. 1800 British Isles 8 generations back. German. The Northwestern European was the German. They broke it down to Germany and Luxembourg. So that's probably where the Ludovic name event came from over time, you know?
Yeah.
And Northern European, 9 generations. British Isles, 9 generations. And 99% accurate, like they say, how sure they were of that person. Sri Lankan, another Sri Lankan, 9 generations back, 1775. 11 generations, Tuscany Italian, back to the year 1725. Okay, the first Punjabi relative ancestor, shouldn't call it relative, was the year 1700, and it was 12 generations back, and they found him or her in chromosome 14. And then more Tuscany, more British Isles, of course, Northern Europeans, Tuscany. Bengali goes back 15 generations, 1625, chromosome 2. More Punjabi, 1 generation before that, in 1600, chromosome 4. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So, let's see, I'm going to go back the whole way to 1400, because it's very, very interesting. There we go, 24 generations. This was, yeah, the Vikings. The Northern Europeans were the very first, the oldest, 1400 AD. We identified one of our ancestors from 1400 AD on chromosome 6, 99% accurate, with 99% accuracy. So, it is absolutely fascinating.